All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hearing me? Everyone hearing me?
Hearing you.
Okay, great. All right, good afternoon. Welcome to another employment session in the series for this semester. As I'm hoping everyone can see the screen. Everyone seeing the screen?
I'm seeing it.
Okay, perfect. So as shown on the screen, today's topic is job market competitiveness. And our presenter is here in our midst. So I'm not going to take very much more time. So I'm just going to briefly introduce her. And the platform, I must say the floor, the platform is all hers for the remainder of the session. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce our speaker. She comes to us in the person of Miss Francesca Anderson. She is presently Group Human Resources Manager at Polypec Company Limited / Unibev Limited. She's welcome to just give a brief about her company. Previously, I know her, she was also a human resource person at Tradewind Citrus, aka True Juice. So she's a very experienced human resource practitioner with years of experience under her belt. And I know she's more than capable to speak to us on this topic that we have here today. Just to give some other brief about her. I know her personally to a point. She and I go to the same church. She is the head of the Sunday school department at the Emmanuel Apostolic Church. She's very, very active in church. She's a God-fearing woman. She's also the mother of 2 adult daughters. So she's a very proud mama. I know that much for sure. And before I blab and go on any further, I now invite Ms. Anderson to take the platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, you have me chuckling there. Matthew, good afternoon and good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today? How is everybody doing? And I need some person to be talking to me. So 1 or 2 persons can unmute their mic if they are being allowed to, because I want to be talking with you. I want to be hearing feedback from persons, not everybody, but certainly it's my privilege to be able to join you this afternoon and to participate in this very important session. I think enough has been said about me. Yes, hi, welcome. Good to see you, Serena. Hi, Serena. All right. So the topic today that I want us to talk about, the focus point I'm told, is what are employers looking for that makes you ready? And the other one is things that deem you ready for a job interview. One of the things I'd like to start out by saying to all of the persons on this platform is that, do you agree that you're important? So that's a question I want you to muse on while I'm talking with you. How important you think you are. We sing the song, and especially many persons, young persons, when you're a child coming up, that you're special. But the truth of the matter, how special do you think you are? In light of the fact that life and basically you may have gone through a number of challenges in your life, many things that you are exposed to that may from time to time make you think otherwise. I'm getting somebody's feedback, so be careful when you're speaking. Make sure your mic is mute if your background is going to be a little bit noisy and so on. So the point I'm making is, how important are you? Not just what people think of you, but most importantly, what do you think of yourself? The fact is that I want to start with by letting you know that you are very important. And not only that you're important, is that you are also very special. Can somebody say, I am special? Just knock your chest and say, I'm special.
I'm special.
And you're very, very special and very, very important. And you may be wondering, why is it I'm asking and saying this from the initial start of this presentation? It's because a lot of times, and most importantly, as employers, we're looking for persons who are confident. One of the things we're looking for is persons who are confident. So even from the fact that you enter the room, enter an office space, engage a conversation, a communication, is that how you exuberate yourself and come and speak. When you're asked question, when you want to verbalize and communicate, is to say how it speaks volume of how confident you are, how confident you are in your presentation, or confident you are in your speech, or confident you are in just about how you carry yourself. So it is important that you know and believe that you are confident, believe that you're special, believe that there's a lot more to you that meets the eye. Because a lot of times we think that, okay, I should be more slim, I should be a little on the fatter side, and we look and we say, oh, we look, our nose, I should have a straight nose, I should have short hair, I should have all these things. And we find a lot of faults in ourselves. So as young persons, as individuals participating in this job market as relates to the online that we're doing here now, you need to understand that you're important, you understand that you're special, you understand that you are unstoppable. Anybody know that they're unstoppable? Once you make your mind up to do something positive, because you have different type of unstoppable, and we don't want those that are doing the negative stuff, but unstoppable in terms of moving after your career goal. And also the fact that this whole pandemic situation is happening, it has, and a lot of person, it has affected everybody in one way or another. It has affected every single person, whether we want to admit it or not, right across the globe. And the fact that it has affected many persons in their own dreams. You're in university, you're saying, how am I going to get a job now? How am I going to get this? And I'm saying, and whilst I'm not preaching, I'm making a presentation, is that if you set your mind to it, if you pursue it, you can achieve it, right? So now is not the time for doom and gloom. Now is not the time to throw in the towel and say, okay, I'm just going through school because it's for school's sake. So being confident, it will help you in another aspect that is important. So the first one we spoke about is confident. The second one, it helps you in your communication. What do I mean by communication? Communication can be seen as both verbally, physically, you're communicating. And in doing so, when you are communicating, it is, but sometimes you have persons that are sharing and speaking, they are communicating, but the level of communication, what is acceptable, it leaves a lot of question as employers. So when you are communicating, as it relates to, sometimes persons are able to speak, but when you give them something, or they're in a scenario where they have to send an email, when they're in a situation where they have to present, communicate through PowerPoint, through Excel, documents and reports, they are not able to do so at all. Another time is when the grammar doesn't match up with what is required. And why I say this, I want to point out this to young persons, and as I keep saying young persons, but everybody on this platform, is because many times we are accustomed to communicate in a particular way. When we're on the WhatsApp, we use the shortened version of the English, the you and the all of that. I find that somebody, you give them an application, you're having a conversation with them, and you're looking to employ them within the organization. And that is how they're speaking, that's how they're presenting. And because it becomes such a norm, they struggle to communicate in what is prescribed as the acceptable way of communicating in a corporate setting. So you have to be mindful, even when you're engaging your friend, sometimes, and even when you call a person, yeah, yo, that is how persons are speaking and sharing and having conversation. And therefore, you need to, as best as possible, try to ensure that you practice, because they say practice becomes a habit. You need to be able to practice that also. So communicating effectively, communicating whatever form that you are required to communicate in, it must be that that you communicate effectively. All right, so we spoke about being confident, we spoke about being as relates to communicating, and there are just a few others that I want us to be looking at today. And some of the others that we're going to be looking at, we speak about honesty. So honesty is also critical in the workspace. Being honest is critical. You find that a lot of times, sometimes also persons fluff their resume. They put all kind of stuff. Sometimes we get resumes and we look at them and I'm saying, it looks good. But when the person come and you're sharing and talking with them, you realize that no, obviously the person probably went on some website, pulled on some information, and then just take it and accept it as if to say this is their own. And that is certainly not acceptable. Honesty in terms of even if you have had issues in school and issues, probably you have another job and you came and looking for this other opportunity, you need to be honest why it is that you are no longer there. What are, if you are asked a question, what are your weakness, are possible areas that you need to be developed in? Don't just think that you're good at everything. Be honest and be open. One of those things may be that in terms of time management, you have challenges meeting deadline. Speak about it and speak about what are the things that you are doing to ensure that you come up to the acceptable standard of being able to have time management and to be effective in completing tasks. So we have time management, we have being honest, that falls under that. Another thing we are looking for is persons who are dependable. Dependable. Individuals to work in the organization that you can depend on them. We many times have, and this goes right across the board, not just persons from line staff, right to management level, is that we have persons who are not dependable, and you need to be able to be dependable, that when you are given a task, you not only complete the task, you are reliable in getting this the assignment completed. And not only that, if it is that something goes wrong, you don't just push the blame on others, but you can be accountable that, okay, I made an error there, I did not follow through on this, and in the future, this is what I'm going to be doing to make it happen. So also, dependability is key. The great challenge that we're having in the workspace as HR practitioners is to have persons who can work together as a team. Working together as a team is important. And you know, one of the things we'd have expect is that once you're in a school classroom setting, we know from starters, even from primary school, you have little projects that you would have gotten, and even in the university, you have project that you are given and deadline, and you have to work in a group. We know that especially in the classroom setting, sometimes you have one person carrying the weight of everybody. And therefore, you just isolate yourself. And some person will tell you when we ask them, do you like to work in a team, or you like to, be a part of a group? And some person will shy and say, no, I'd rather to be a part of the team. But even when you give them an opportunity to work together as a team, it doesn't happen. And so we have a lot of conflict and challenges within organizations, within business, within companies, to not just within a department challenge, but even from one department to another department. So I would say I am into, say for argument example, I'm into accounts. And as long as my work is done, I don't care about the other team members within the accounts department. Or the flip to that, it can be that, okay, as long as my accounts department is working good and all is well, we're meeting our deadline, our obligation, and all of that, meeting all the KPIs as a department and even as individual, then we are fine. No, that can't be, because it doesn't stop there to make an organization successful. The other departments, the sales department, the production department, all those other marketing department, all those department, the HR department, the admin department, all of those departments makes the company successful. So even if you're on a branch here and doing well, it is key and critical for persons to understand, and you must understand how important it is to work together as a team. The argument is always said that you are as strong as your weakest link, and the weakest link is, you may say, is not you, it's the other department. And so from time to time as HR practitioners, we have to be going and we use the word you loosely about team, but we need to see it in action. So if you're a good team player, if you are one that will stand with your team, if you're one that you are confident, you are honest, and you are dependable, those are things that points that we are looking for and areas we are looking for to know that you would be a very good candidate to be a part of any organization, any business, because you will work together, and the conflicts and so on would be limited as best as possible. So you have to work as a team, you have to be flexible, you have to communicate well, and also you have to have what we call problem solving skills. One of the things we find is that when you talk about problem solving skill from a university, let me say, but Miss Anissa, when you're talking about, I'm not in a work setting, I'm going to school, what kind of problem? Even in your university, there are challenges that you come upon that you should be able to exercise your skill as it relates to problem solving, to be able to properly troubleshoot issues, properly have teamwork where you come together as a team, where you brainstorm issues and solve problems. What we find is that we have to be telling and HODs, and even from management, CEO level, is that I have a manager, the manager has all the skill set, the line worker, have all the technical skill, but if I don't tell them every step of the way of what it is they need to do, every problem they have, they need to come to me for an answer. One of the things I was trained in, and the good thing I was trained by, those people where you have to get it right, is that my CEO from other companies, and even know that you don't come to me with a problem if you don't have a recommended solution. I hope you catch that. If there is a problem, if there is an issue, if there is a challenge, you need, before you even come to tell me the problem is what is your recommended solution. It may be that your recommended solution may not be what the company or manager or supervisor will be adopting, but it prepares you to think and properly exercise the whole problem solving skill set that comes with time to be developed. So having good problem solving skill is very important. Eagerness to learn. You have some persons, even in the university setting, coming to be a part of the team. You take them in as intern, and they come in, and we want the young persons, we want individuals, we want fresh, bright minds to be a part of our organization, a part of our business, who are thinking outside of the box and just ready and eager to learn and eager to bring that eagerness to the board and to the table. But at the same time, sometimes we are stuck in a way of doing things, and there is no way you want to change. There's no way. And so the attitude of change, we always say, and I'm sure you would have heard, your attitude speaks to your altitude. So we may have somebody in the system as a part of our team that are very bright, have all the qualification, the CSEC, the first degree, have the certifications, have been exposed, have gone on to learn so many other skills that we deem as essential, to the business. but at the same time, as it relates to how eager are they to learn and to change, is not being flexible, not working together as a team. They're just confident in their own space and nothing else works. So again, that is something that we as employers, as business individuals, as business partners, as CEOs and managers, supervisors, owners of our own businesses are looking for persons that are dependable. We're looking for persons with teamwork ability, flexibility, who are eager to learn, who are confident, persons who are determined, persons with good problem solving skills, and person who is just positive. You know, sometimes you go and I'm sure you know, you have some friends or colleagues and even family members who every time they speak it is so negative. Every time you see them, it's just doom and gloom. We want persons who are, I mean, the reality of situations are there, and we're not telling you to cover it up, but we need to ensure that we have persons who are willing and persons who are interested in their work and interested in the business and being a part of the larger organization, which is the group. So those are for the point as it relates to our first point, in terms of what our employers looking for that makes you ready. Those are some of the critical points. We can go on to quite a lot, because there are many. And I mean, you just a press of a Google button away. You're talking about persons who are analytical and critical thinking. And those are some of the things that develop over time. Persons who have initiatives, they use their initiative. I mean, they come to you with things as managers, they come to you with ideas, they bounce things off you, and they're just eager and out there and flexible and ready to learn and to grow with the company. So those are just some pointers as it relates to that. So I'm going to move on now, and if you have a question, I guess I understand the questions will come after. The other point I would like us to quickly look at are these things that deems you ready for any job, for a job interview. Could somebody tell me or write in the chat, what are the things you think that will make you ready for a job interview? Anybody? Not sure if you're able to, or if you want to type it in the chat, if you can't unmute. Anybody that would like to just share briefly what it is that you think that will make you ready for a job interview? Nobody? There's no right or wrong to the answer, you know. Is everybody with me? Confidence. Yes, Anthony. Thank you for that. Anybody else? I'm looking. I want to be talking with you. Confidence. Very well, Anthony. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Anybody else want to just quickly share what else it could be? Not seeing any response? One more man, I'm sure there's one more person that would want to write. Oh, wow, Jodian. Yes, Jodian. So we have persons on this platform, and I think all of you who know exactly some of the things that you will be looking for, things that you deem you're ready for an interview. The 2 points that you raised are both correct. So first of all, you need to, in being prepared and ready for a job interview, what we find is that persons will just get up and just see a job. They don't even recognize whether they have the skill set. They don't recognize. Some persons are coming for interviews that somebody else sent the resume. So even when they come for the interview, they seem to not even know what it is that they're being interviewed for. And so if you have your mommy, if you have your friend, whomever it is that you have, need to be able to say, okay, I sent your resume to Polypet. I sent your resume to Lasco. Therefore, when somebody, first of all, even call you, you don't hear, expect a call, and you don't hear, I mean, good afternoon, is this Anthony? I mean, that's a turn off right there. Talk, no. Or sometimes when you call the number, the person don't answer. But this is Fabulous from Eskimo Parade on the pretty girl side. As an email, as a point. So I'm just pointing out one or two things that you need to be mindful of. So your personal email that you have, with your friend and you call it sexy baby on the moon top, that is not you're gonna use when you're sending out an email in terms of a resume. Create an email that are work related in terms of that is more acceptable in the workspace, except those types. So that's just a quick pointer there. You need to, if somebody sent your resume to a company, you need to, because we understand sometimes, your mommy, your friend, your family member, somebody would have probably spot a vacancy somewhere, and then they have your resume and they just send it out. One of the things you need to let them know and you need to do too is that you ensure that you have the job description, whatever ad that came out, you copy it, because sometimes when we put an ad on a particular platform, we take it down after a while. And so you may not be able, after 2-3 weeks, to look back at what it is that you had applied for. So you immediately copy it, ensure you have it saved, that when you're called for an interview, you are able to, first of all, to say, okay, this is a job I applied for, and this is a job description. These are the pointers. And even so, most importantly, you don't just send out your resume to just the same resume to everybody, every company. You need to look at the job description, tweak it based on what is in the advertisement, and then you send it so it is in line. Because the truth is, as managers and practitioners and persons who are getting a lot of resume, there are some quick pointers we look for when we get a resume. Some quick things we look for because we know what it is that we're looking for. And so we are matching quickly, just scanning through resumes quickly. We don't have the whole day to look at 100, 200 resumes and in detail. So we scan through them. And if it is that you want us to catch the pointers, the role, that the line items that we have, you need to be able to speak to those in your resume. So you need to understand the job description. You need to tweak your resume according to each job you're applying for. And once you have done that, you need to be able to speak to those in line with activities that you would have performed, activities that you would know that you are able and capable of bringing to the table. A lot of times when we interview persons who have not yet been exposed to a lot of job work experience, is that they will tell you, oh miss, we can't do that. But if you look careful and rethink that, even when you are at university, when you are being a part of your team, you have been called to leadership. Why is that so? Because there's some leadership quality that once you're put in a group, you realize that person will gravitate towards you. So those are some of the arguments and some of the conversation you need to know that you need to present when you are in an interview and to be prepared for an interview. You need to carefully match your qualification, match your, in terms of your qualification, your experience with the job that you're applying for. So those are very, very important. If you don't even have the qualification for what is required, because I must be honest, there are times that we take on persons, and if you do a quick survey, you'll realize that a lot of persons who went to school and certified in specific areas, they are not necessarily working in the field. So I may have a marketer who are not working in marketing, not working in sales, not working in customer service, is working in accounts. And you say to yourself, how does that match with, with what the person is doing? And so if a survey is done, you realize, and that is why, unfortunately, sometimes you have persons who are not satisfied in their job function because they'll tell you that I am doing something that I really don't like, but this is where the job availability is. Somebody doing forensic criminal law and all of that stuff that want to become a lawyer and so on, forensic skill set, and they are now sitting in HR. Somebody in accounts are doing totally something different than what their pride and joy to do. But many times they are doing it and they're doing it very well. But not all the time persons are satisfied. So you need to be able to do that. And and not remember if it was Anthony who had said, I don't think it's Anthony, who had said that researching the company and the role, please, once you're invited for an interview, please make sure that you do read up on the company. Do not take it for granted that, okay, I know I'll just go and I'll just talk out of my head. Most importantly, many a time you're going to be asked about the company. And if there's not much information on the company, how can you have even somebody who works at a company tell you about a company, and then you go and say, oh, so-and-so tell me about the company, so-and-so a neighbor of mine, or somebody in my community work here, and so I just go, did you ask the person to tell you a little bit about the company? If you even went online and didn't find, oh no. You tell me that you're not interested, you haven't come prepared for the interview. So the research is very, very important, very, very critical and very important for you to know and for you to be able to consistently, yeah, it was Jodian, right? Jodian, researching on the company. Thank you, Jodian. That is very important. You also, and when we talk about researching on the company, we talk about whatever service the company provides, customer service, whatever it is, that the culture of the company, that sometimes you can read the company's vision, the company's goals and objectives, be able to speak to those. And it will be important when you're speaking to those, you tie that in to what you'll be able to offer, what you'll be able to bring to the table. All right, so those are some of those that is very important. What are some of the other things that are critical? You need to be able to prepare. How do you prepare for an interview? You have friends, you have family members, you have people who you can have say, okay, sit me down and ask me a couple of questions. As I said, the internet is full with information and full of questions that you will be able to come up with, questions that will be able to speak to you as it relates to you being able to read on information, to be able to answer information. It is very, very, very critical and very important. And so you have to have persons or somebody who can pull on Google, pull on whatever platform there are hundreds and hundreds of interview questions that they can ask you. They don't even have to think about it themselves. When you go for an interview, practice how when you go for an interview, don't sit and slouch in the chair and you're sitting down and I don't know. No, sit up properly in the chair. Because if it is you're just coming for an interview for the first time, you have never met anybody on the panel. And this is the presentation that we are going to be seeing. We are not going to be comfortable. And the truth is, you need to understand that once you get an opportunity for an interview, you have an opportunity of a lifetime. What do I mean when I say that? You can have the best resume that can take you to the door and to the office to be interviewed. But if you don't have the right attitude, If you don't prepare, that's the end of it. So sometimes one of the things that I have done in doing interviews is that I don't just wait till the person is gone and say, okay, no, this person's not getting a job. I really want to help the individuals. So what I'll do many times at the end of the interview to say, look, are you really interested? And sometimes not even at the end. Sometimes just the way the person come in, I said, step back outside. I don't think you are prepared because I'm trying to help. But not many persons will do it. You say, you just come in and you just plop down in the chair. You just come in and you just say, yeah. And you come in with the hat and you put it at the side and you push it in your back pocket. You just come. So. So we said, come prepared, come have friends, have somebody ask you the question, try and respond to the question. Most of the time, you will realize that some of the questions that is on the different platforms that when you're asked, you'll be able to answer. And if you think about them carefully, tell me a little bit about yourself. And you look up in the ceiling and you look up in the sky and you look on the ground. I'm not telling you to tell me anything that you don't know about yourself. And that's an easy 1, 2, 3. Market yourself. So when you step in the room, you step with your shoulder, your head up. Even if you feel nervous and butterfly on the inside, speak to yourself. Say, look, I can do this. I can do this. This is talking about me, telling person about me, the dynamic person that I am, the very knowledgeable person I am, the person I am is good. And when you speak and talk and share who you are, it makes us want to say, okay, that's good. So that is very important. Be prepared with examples. So as I said before, even if it is that in your own setting, you were not able to work here or work there, even in your own university setting, when you had challenges, when you had issue with a team member who's part of the group, did you present the project and put your name on it? Or, I mean, a quick question that we normally ask university students, you have worked in team preparing project. What if the person, members of the group are not participating and pulling their weight, and you have to present your final work to the lecturer? Is it that you're going to leave off the individual's name, or what are you going to be doing? Would you speak to the person before, or sure, miss me just put on everybody's name because I can't bother? You understand me? So those are some things that is very important. Another thing is that now that we're doing a lot of things on using our laptops and so on, and so on, it is very important that if you're doing an interview and you're not going face to face, ensure that your background is in a proper condition. Ensure that it's not showing a picture that there's some rudeness or nakedness. Ensure that the signals. So if I'm not calling any of the providers, but if you have the box closed, you go as close to it as possible. You ensure the internet is working. Ensure that the sound is coming out. Ensure just do those things in advance. For argument's sake, when I plan on being a part of this, I logged on quite a while before because I wanted to ensure that, okay, if you're not hearing me, if you're not seeing me, my background is a little on the bright side, and so the reflection is not as good as I was hoping, but at the same time, are you hearing me? How is my internet connection? How am I attired? Are you going to be doing an interview on the platform and you have it blank, the screen, and you have a picture of yourself? No, I'm doing an interview on using the platform, whether Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whichever one that is being used. And persons coming for the interview and I see black screen. I said, you're not for real? So I am going to have to tell them that I need to see your face? So, and then when you say, I'm not seeing you, like, okay, I'm coming, they're going to get ready. They're going to get ready to comb their hair, to fix up, put on a proper shirt, put on a proper top. No, you're really not ready for the interview. You know, you need to be able to just do some of those basic things to ensure that you are ready, and the interviewer interviewing you, or the panel that is interviewing you can say, okay, this person is prepared. I mean, they were able to answer the questions, and even if they didn't answer the questions so well, when it comes to the end of the interview, in order for you to prepare, don't let us ask you, do you have any question? Oh, no, not yet. No, man. Ask us one or two questions. Take notes. What is the culture of your organization? This role. Tell me a little bit more about it. What are my expectations in another 10, 30 days to 3 months? You know, what are the staff turnover? Ask us riveting, pointed questions. But don't just come and say, no question. Or not only that, sometimes questioners are asked, but the only question you're interested in is, what is the salary? How much am I going to be paid? And the flip side to that, even if when we ask you, the company, the employer ask you what it is your expected salary, you tell us, okay, I want $10,000. And by the time and we're saying $10,000 to take bus from St. Thomas to come, yes, $10,000. And I said, but all right, you said 10,000, but we're gonna give you 15. And we're going to give you 20. I'm just using those figures as an example. And when you come and you get in the 20, say, no, man, this can't work. This too little bit. What if I work, me I do? And you ask for 10, I will give you 20. But at the same time, you have to know that there are some deductions that are going to be taken from it. So do all of those calculations and be prepared. So I'm going to stop here for today, and just to allow some questions at this point in time. I hope that something I would have said would have been able to make a difference, and for you to be even more alert as to what are the expectations, what are the employees looking for that makes you ready, and things that you should know to be being ready for a job interview. Thank you. Do I have any questions? I'm not hearing any questions, nothing in the chat. I'm waiting for some questions. I've been given an hour. I'm pausing here to facilitate questions so I'll be able to respond. So no questions coming at me this afternoon? No questions at all? So until you are able to formulate one or two questions, I would just want to let you know that as it relates to work, as it relates to employment, information from a Jamaica Manufacturing Exporters Association, just a quick one, speaks to as relates to, situations that are happening, during the whole COVID situation here and now. It speaks to, indicating that current have under 5 employees staff complement operating situation. So the truth of the matter is that we know that there's quite a number of persons who are without a job. There are statistics information in some arena with the pandemic and our current job market, what is the best way to put yourself ahead of the competition? Wonderful question, Serena. What you need to do is reach out to companies and ask to if you can participate as it relates to intern. Sometimes even when you say you don't want to be paid, the truth of the matter, most companies, if not all, will pay you. So I get calls from students wanting to be a part of our company, and my other colleagues too. And we facilitate, whilst it is not as fulsome as we had before the COVID, there are still a few companies that are engaging graduates. I get quite a lot of referrals from my staff, and I can speak to that that can come and say, okay, I want to recommend so and so to be a part of the team. Sometimes the truth is that we may have special projects that we call for students to be a part of. And I can tell you, 9 out of 10 times, there's 1 and 2 that we just say, look, I have to find something for this young person. I have to help. So reach out to institution, reach out to organization, reach out to friends, reach out to individuals and ask, send email, pick up the phone, call, who is the HR, who is the general manager, who is the this, 2 persons that you're seeking job, and I'm sure, I know sometimes it gets frustrating, and as I said, especially now, but there is still hope. I want to say, don't be hopeless. I mean, don't be hopeless. Don't throw in the towel. Do not give up. I know many of you, would have gone on the work and travel program, and many of you would have embarked on a lot of other activities to help you with not only with the university fees, but even to help your family and friends. And so, that has curtailed quite a bit, but just in answering your question, talk, share, go to your pastor, go to a member of your church congregation and say, I know that you work at Explain. Here's a copy of my resume. Could you assist me? And don't just give it to them and walk away. When you see them, another week or 2, persons in your community, person in your association, neighborhood association, just reach out and ask for help. So thank you for that question, Serena. I hope I was able to answer you adequately. Thank you, Serena. Come on with some questions. Don't let me get off so easily today. I come to prepare to answer some questions. Reach out and ask for help. I know there are also young persons, graduates who are pretty much in jobs that they are not happy with. And I'm gonna be real and frank. I've heard graduates, I've heard students who have to pause from their studies just to make ends meet in their home, just to fill a gap, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, just to help buy food and pay the bills. And that is a real challenge. But why am I saying this? I'm also saying this to let you know, don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams. Even if you're not able to get 100% of what you want to hear and know, you need to aspire and continue to pursue your goal. Push and don't stop pushing, don't stop pressing. When you feel sad, when you feel down, when you feel like nothing is happening, please do continue. I see another question here from Reed. I normally look at the JD before applying. If I know I don't have the years of experience being asked for, I tend to be disheartened and not apply. But how do you sell yourself if you have never really had an experience in the number of years being asked for? And that is a perfect question. And the truth is that sometimes you see, I'm going to be honest, sometimes you see some advertisement and they're asking for all these years of service, and you're saying, really, where do I fit in all of this? You know, how do I make this happen? I would say apply. I would apply. I recommend you to apply because too, let me tell you, sometimes I interview persons for a particular role, or I get a resume that doesn't necessarily match what I'm looking for. But even looking at what on the resume, I would sometimes say, this person may not fit this role in terms of the years of service and what I need. But as organization too, we're looking for succession plan. And so what we do is, and what I would do, and many of my colleagues and will tell you, business person will tell you, that invariably we will invite the person or the individual for an interview, and their chances out of 1 to 10, 10 to 5, the person may land the job to be, because you have a lot of person in the work world, not, I can't put a figure to it, that many of us are getting older. And so we need to pass the baton on. And so what is critical though and important is that you are able to learn, to be quick in terms of open to learning, however difficult the situation may be. So you can be exposed for rigorous training. Because, and I say this to say, when I was much younger and learning the various companies that I worked with, there were individuals who I thought were very hard on me. I thought they were just so hard. They didn't, when I asked for help, they just not helping. They send me back. But I've come to understand now, and many of you would understand, even with your parents, your guardian, would sometimes to send you back and not helping you. But I realize more and more now that they were actually training me to be who I am today. So even when I shared with you about coming to talk about a problem, in my very young work life, my manager would say, don't come to me with a problem if you don't have a recommendation. So when I see the problem and they're scratching my head and I'm saying, what do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to, and I'm flustered. And I said, all right, I can't go unless I have a recommendation. And so it has helped me in my work life, in my personal life, to be quick on my feet and to think when something happens, to what is the recommendation, what is the solution to this. It helps. So apply. Don't use that as an indicator not to apply. Apply. Because whilst you may not have the 15 and the 13 years, you have had some exposure. So let me explain this to you. Even when you go overseas, I find sometimes young persons go overseas and they will work on the work program. They work in restaurants, they work in amusement park. And yes, when they come for an interview, you said, what kind of supervisor skill you have? Nothing. I said, nothing, but your resume said you worked in this state and you were the manager of the park, you were the restaurant manager, the bathroom supervisor. Speak about it. Don't be ashamed. Speak about it. So that is my answer for you. I hope I was able to answer the question, but I'm saying apply still. Apply still.
Ms. Anderson, just to add to that point, on a daily basis, I see students' resumes every day. And one of the simple tips that I would give to students is, no matter the limited experience you have, put it on your resume. It could be work and travel, it could be summer, it could be internship, put it on your resume. I implore that to students and graduates all the time.
Right, very well. And that too will tell you that you need to get involved in activities, whether in your community, as a community neighborhood association, in your church, whatever it is, get involved with volunteer work, whether you go to a home, a shut-in, and you assist with combing air of fire. I mean, no, we know that that is not happening in terms of shut-ins and you can't go as you would. But I'm saying get involved in activities, even if you can't be physically there because of the COVID restriction. Be creative and think of things and participate online. If it's even online here now, we're having this platform and we're doing this presentation. If it means you're going to be a part of looking at the register.com, ensure that you're right. Please register here. Please do. That is a part of something you can put on your resume. You're here now, and you can say at University of Technology, I've been a part of the UTech Career and Placement Unit when we have speakers and whatever. I'm the administrator, and this is what I do. That is a lot. So I hope I give somebody some ideas now. So Mr. Matthew, I'm expecting some students gonna be calling you not long after now to say I want to help in the next sitting.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Anderson, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and speak to our students. Before you go, there was one more question in the chat. I'm just going to read it for you. And it's from Miss Ashley, and she's asking, Miss, what if after the interview you find that the person is not qualified or suitable for the position in which they had applied, but you as the interviewer find them suitable for another position within the company?
I take them. I call them. I've had that, and my colleagues, I'm sure I've had many of those situations where we say, no man, this is a bright one. I would say, no man, this young person may not have the work experience and so on, even yet with the qualification. Let me put that in. Sometimes the individual doesn't even have the full qualification. And I'm saying, look, what time do you go to classes? Give us a couple hours in the day, because we're saying, no, and this one is someone we want to groom, that we see has the spark. And let me just say this also. Age, we say it a lot of time. We have interviewed persons across the board in terms of different age. Don't be intimidated when there's an interview and persons are more qualified, more experienced than you, because I can tell you, sitting on various panel interviewing person, it doesn't eliminate you all the time for not getting the job, because a lot of times there are areas in the business that you are going to be trained to be doing. If it's a customer service, we're not gonna, every company have their different standing order procedure, have their different training material. And so you're not just coming and just say, okay, here you are, that's it. There are training and stuff like that. So once you are open to training, once you are respectful is also critical in the world of business. Especially a lot of things that is happening on the external now, we see it coming into the company, in the businesses and so on. So it's a reflection of the society. So importantly, please, we will call. I'm certain.
All right, very well said, Ms. Anderson. You have given us a lot to think about, some of which we may know already. For some persons, they may be relearning all of this, and for some persons, oh, we know it already. But nonetheless, the information is relevant even to this very day, in the midst of COVID. Some of the old-time procedures and ways of doing things with respect to resume and cover letter interview still relevant, just as back then. So, Ms. Anderson, again, thank you, and we look forward to having you for other presentations.
Thank you. you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here and a pleasure. I mean, if persons need to reach out to me, Mr. Matthew, you have my number and information. You can share it as you see necessary and fit. But I'm really, really impressed to empower our young persons, empower. I mean, and I keep saying young person, remember you can be 50 and just finishing your degree. You can be 65 and just finishing your degree. Young in terms of knowledge that you are now gaining additional knowledge. So to categorize what I'm saying in terms of young, I mean, you will succeed. I want to leave this platform for you to know that you will succeed. Just stay focused, stay determined, and if you feel like you're falling, get persons in your scheme of things who can mentor you, who can coach you, someone that you can share. I mean, that I'm hurting, I'm sad, I feel depressed, I feel, and you can share, and the person can say, look, I'm not throwing you under the bus. I will listen, I will be there for you, I'll seek help and counseling for you. If you need prayer, whatever it is, that I'm here for you, and just have the person's back. Just be there. Sometimes just a silent person in the room is just speaks volume. So thank you again for having me. And remember, you're all special. You are special, creative, wonderful, special, unstoppable individual. You all are. Bless you and thanks.
And bless you too, Miss Anderson. Thank you.
Mm.
All right, and just some housekeeping. Okay, I see some person saying thank you. Thank you, Miss Anderson. This was very good. And I see another person saying thank you. So by this, I know that the feedback for your presentation is really, really good.
Yeah.
And of course, persons came with their questions, though, you know, a little shy at first, but they came with their questions.
Yeah.
And as I had posted in the chat earlier, we have mock interviews next week, Monday to Wednesday. The registration form, which is via Google Forms, has been posted. So please, students, feel free to register. Limited spaces available. So
That link
sign
is
up.
not working.
Really? It's not working?
No, because a few of us have tried.
Okay.
Someone just sent a new link in the chat. It's working.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Yes. So as said before, mock interviews next week. Sign up and get your space. Limited spaces available. This is open to all students. Well, particularly second year and third years and the final years who will be participating in job fair. If any other students decide to sign up, then we'll try to fit you in, but this is mainly for the second and third years and final year students who will be participating in job fair.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
As it relates to they can take some talk, please. As it relates to the mock,
Look here, stop.
I'm not sure if she's still there, but
Sorry about that. I was saying that is the mock interviews mandatory, or we're just doing it in case we didn't get anywhere to do our work experience?
No, it's not mandatory and it's not a substitute for work experience. It is a initiative that my office, Current Placement, puts on for students who want to sharpen their interview experience. So it's not a substitute for your work experience.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Also, I get the impression you said you would prefer that it not be fourth year students.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
So you're saying this is mainly for second and third year students.
And final
right?
year students. Second and third year
students.
and final year students, yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to leave you now. Have a great rest of the day.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Same to you, Miss Anderson. Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
Yes, what I am realizing in terms of the time, the days in which you schedule the mock interview, what if it's clashing with a class session that I have? How would that work out?
Okay, well, unfortunately, those are the slots that we have available. But my only advice to you is to pick the slot that works best for you in terms of your schedule. So unfortunately, we don't have any more slots at this time. But if there is need for an extension, possibly we may have another series, but I can't speak to that right now. So my only advice to you is to select the slots or the time that is best for you. And once you register, I will be in touch with you most likely over the weekend just to confirm the exact time slot. So for example, if you signed up between 5 to 7, then once I'm going through all the persons that registered for 5 to 7, I'm going to pretty much go through all the persons that have registered for that slot, and I'll just be slotting in persons. Because ultimately there will be between, say, 6 to 12 persons for each 2-hour slot. So hence spaces are limited.
Okay, no problem. And thank you.
You're welcome. All right, are there any other questions? Oh, yes, Miss Gail, I note your question. You are not the only one having issues with the resume submission on the site. I recently spoke with the tech support, who are the ones that work on the back end of the job fair site, and they are currently working on that. I can't say, well, I don't have any other new updates to say other than that, but I have brought the matter to their attention and they're currently looking into it and they're working on it. And I'm sure in due time, they will update me. And if needs be, I will follow up with them. But thank you for that question and you're welcome.
I have a question for the interviews. Is it that the interviewers will be specific to the field that we're in?
Oh, that is a very good question. Well, not necessarily. All I can say is prepare to be interviewed by HR representatives from actual companies. So for example, you may find a person like Miss Anderson who did the presentation today. She may possibly be one of the persons that will be conducting interviews. So those are the types of persons you can expect to do interviews with you. So actual,
is it,
yes. So
is it
actually,
that it's a, sorry, go
yes.
ahead.
Right. So as I'm saying, pretty much prepared to be interviewed by actual HR persons or directors from actual companies. We may also have internal staff here at UTech who will be doing some of the interviews as well. So pretty much you're going to be interviewed by actual working class persons who are senior and mature and who would basically, you know, be able to coach you pretty much. So as the name suggests, mock interviews, the aim is to give you an actual mock interview, an actual interview experience with an actual person who will be actually interviewing you. But yeah, so that's pretty much the idea.
Okay, are the questions going to be randomized, like a specific job description, or that's what's kind of confusing me?
Okay. Well, I can't speak to the questions that the interviewers themselves are going to ask. So for example, there is going to be a template with some questions that will be sent to the interviewers. However, the interviewers may or may not use all or any of the questions on that template. So pretty much the template that the interviewers will be given, though that's just basically serving as a guide. So interviewers may not necessarily ask any questions at all on that guide that they've been given. And interviews can be unpredictable in some sense. So you can just pretty much prepare to be asked possibly almost anything under the sun.
Thank you.
This is, yeah, I have similar concerns or, you know, questions based on this, because this sounds like you can't really prepare properly if you're not sure, you know, what type of an interview it is.
Okay. Well, pretty much you're preparing for a mock job interview. So all right. Sorry about that. Give me the tail end of your question again. Oh, yes, you were asking about the interviews. Right, so pretty much, as I was trying to explain earlier before, interviews can be unpredictable. So even though, for example, you may go to one interview and they ask you 10 questions, when you go to another interview, they may just ask you 3 questions. And as I said before, all interview questions may not be the very same questions that you are asked in every interview. So again, interviews are very fluid and very flexible in that sense. So unfortunately, I have no specific guide to give you, pretty much. But just think of it as if it were an actual job interview. That's my only tidbit that I can give you.
I don't mean to belabor, but I'm actually doing that, and this is why I'm asking these questions, because if it's a specific job interview, I'm going to do certain preparations. So would you be able to, when you're scheduling the interviews, would you at least be able to tell us who the person is that would interview us?
Okay, as far as I'm aware, we normally don't, unfortunately, we normally don't provide the information on the interviewer beforehand. So unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to disclose that.
Okay, so then you don't even know. Okay, it's challenging.
Yes.
Hello.
Is someone else asking a question?
Yes, Carlos, I speaking. What I believe Mr. Francis is saying that he's trying to get to us that they are basically just preparing us. So it's probably more than likely we're not going to be interviewed for a specific job, but they will be asking general questions. For example, tell me about yourself. You don't need to know about which job you're getting, tell them about yourself. So that's it. It's not very specific. They just want to hear what you can offer and such, and based on your response, they will probably guide the question towards your, probably when you're going, they ask you, what are you studying, what's your major, and then they choose a set of questions along that line. That's what I'm not sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. So that's pretty much all it is. It's not an actual job interview. As the name of the event suggests, we are giving you the opportunity to sharpen your interviewing skills by creating a interview scenario. So it's not, oh, I'm applying for an actual job, you know. We're just giving you the experience and the forum for you to get what an actual interview would be like. Was that clear?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, are there any other questions before we leave? Any other questions at all?
Excuse me,
Yes.
I did not hear exactly if you mentioned it, but will we be contacted prior to our interview or mock interview?
Yes, you will be. So as I had indicated earlier, you will be contacted. Most likely that will be some point over the weekend, most likely Saturday or possibly tomorrow, depending on how I get through everything that needs to be done from my end. But if you don't hear from me by tomorrow, you'll hear from me, as I said, over the weekend, Saturday most likely.
Okay, then. Thank you so much.
If not, early Monday morning. But I will try my best not to be that, to cut it that close. So look out for a phone call at least Saturday.
Okay, Dee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question. Will we have to be dressed up? Will they be using camera or it's just audio?
Okay, well, to be on the safe side, I would safely say come dressed as if it were an actual interview. And I would expect that you would have your camera on. Because of course the interviewer would want to see who they're interviewing. They wouldn't just only want to see your display name only. So the interviewer would want to see who they're interviewing. So in that literal sense of an interview, you come prepared, at least, at least your portrait level. You come prepared, come dressed up in your, whether it be your blouse and a jacket or a nice blouse. You have your hair done up neatly, your light makeup, and you just come as if it were an actual interview. You have your portfolio and your resume right beside you on hand if you need to reference it. And of course, you would beforehand compose yourself, think about your answers before you answer the questions and so on. So pretty much, we're giving you the feel of what an actual interview will be like. So you would prepare in that sense as well for an actual interview, as if it were an actual interview. I hope I answered that question.
Will we actually get reviews afterwards?
Well, yes, you should be. There will be an evaluation form which the interviewers will be given. So more or less, you will be evaluated during the interview, throughout the course of the interview, and I'm sure the interviewer will provide some comments and feedback afterwards as well.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so in the meantime, register for mock interviews next week. Limited spaces available. Yes, so are there any other questions before we leave, before we go? Okay, and I see persons are still coming on as we speak. And of course, some other general housekeeping. If you had come in this session and had not signed the register and the evaluation links are posted in the chat. And as well, you're welcome to register for mock interviews. Mock interviews will be held next week, Monday to Wednesday. Once you click on the Google form link in the chat, it will direct you to the form that you will fill out and you will select the time that is most convenient to you. I said before, you will hear from me, most likely the latest over the weekend. I hope not. I hope I don't have to be late as Monday morning, but certainly you should hear from me between tomorrow and over the weekend as it relates to the exact time for your interviews and so on. All right, so if there are no other questions or queries or concerns, thank you all for coming to another Employment session in this series. And of course, we look forward to having you same time next week for another in the series. Thank you all for coming out. I hope you all learned something. Hope you all had taken notes. I hope you all had asked your questions when you had wanted to have asked the presenter. If not, the presenter has allowed me to give out her contacts. So should you need to contact the presenter directly, you can let me know and I will at liberty or at my own discretion give you her contact information. All right, so thank you all for coming. Again, the links for the register for today's session and the evaluations are in the chat. Feel free to go ahead and click and fill them out if you hadn't done so already. The link for mock interview registration is available in the chat as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you all for mock interviews next week. And of course, we have another implement session in this series. Looking forward to seeing you all. All the best, guys. All the best in your studies, in your exams, in your coursework, in your modules. All the very best. And God willing, we'll be here next week. Thank you.